Hey you guys, it's Marianne. Welcome to Be on the Bar. And this podcast is titled Pilates Wine Down. So I will explain my thoughts of why I wanted to do this, and then I will introduce my guest to you. So it was probably last year at some point where I heard a lot of chatter going on social media about Pilates and so-called Pilates police. I'll be using my air quotes and gatekeeping. And it kind of resonated with me for a couple of different reasons. And I'm like, I need to chat with some people about this. And I can't really talk to Paul about it because he doesn't care. And he would be like, do you have a girlfriend to talk to? So I thought I would put together a fun little Pilates panel. And I so appreciate these women for joining me this evening because it is evening for us. So let me get to introducing each of them and then we'll do a little cheers. So I shall start with Anne Marie. Anne Marie is in upstate New York. Anne Marie is a Pilates instructor, but she'll tell us a little bit more. Anne Marie is a return B4 fan favorite for the podcast. She was a guest instructor for Swimsuit Swagger as well. And another fun fact, she's my sister-in-law. So there we go. Welcome back, Anne.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, and I always know, I tell this all the time. I'll wait till I know that maybe Anne's had a glass of wine or a cocktail, and then I'll text her and ask her to come back on the podcast. I know I'll probably get my yes then. No, she's always good. She's always a good supporter. So thank you. And
Do what I can.
she does. She does what she can. All right, next, I would like to introduce Beth to you. I'm so glad you have your name as Beth Grant because I know you hyphenate. I'm like, well, I'm going to call her Beth Grant. Okay, you guys, Beth, welcome to the Beyond the Bar podcast. Beth and I have met once in person. I will explain why in a minute. I also have stalked her on social media for a couple of years. Beth is also a Pilates instructor. She has this amazing backdrop of one of the places that she teaches, which I'm going to be asking her about. Beth, thank you for doing this and welcome to the Pilates Wine Down podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Beth is in
Whitewater, Wisconsin.
Whitewater. We're going to do a little weather check too as soon as I introduce my third guest. Okay. Third guest, Laura. It has occurred to me that I've probably used your last name maybe once or twice in life because I was thinking, is it Hanis? Is it?
It's Hanis,
It is Hanis.
like hand. I always tell people like hand.
Like a hand, because I'm like thinking this morning, oh my God, I've never used her last name. And fun fact, people, two fun facts. One, Laura lived diagonally across the street from me in Tampa. But I had to text her the other day and ask her what her mailing address was. I wasn't sure of the number. That's what it was. Okay, so I wanted Laura to join us because since I have known her, which was 2018, people, when I moved to Tampa, she's been a big, huge Pilates fan. She takes Pilates classes on a regular basis. She loves it. I forced her to take my classes during COVID. She gives great feedback, huge supporter of B4, but also people, Laura is Beth's sister, okay? That is how I met Beth the one time. And wouldn't it be super fun to have both sissies on? This is a family affair. We've got Emery and I, and we have you two. So I'm super excited. Welcome, Laura.
Thank you. Happy to be
Also,
here.
Paul used to say to me all the time, Laura's your favorite neighbor, isn't she? And I'm like, listen, I love Megan and Maria just as much, okay? But okay, so let's go back to our weather check because I was asking the ladies before we went live. Let's go with Wisconsin. What do we got going there? How cold?
Well, today it's 38. So we're actually in a pretty big warm up right now. Yesterday it started out at -4 with a high, I think they hit about 12 yesterday. So we just had this massive snowstorm come through, which really we thought was just going to kind of clip the top of us and go across. But it actually came down into southern Wisconsin. And so we got dumped on too.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? And then Punxsutawney Phil did see a shadow, so that's not helping any of us.
Right.
Anne is in upstate New York, where I grew up, everyone. Anne, what do you got going there for?
We're holding at 32 at the moment, but this morning it was 20. The morning, it's just cold. Winter is not over here yet. I think we might be done with the snow. Looking at the forecast going forward, it looks like it's gonna, our highs might get into the 50s, which is really exciting.
That's very exciting. Also, I'm pretty sure that Friday's the first day of spring. If I'm not wrong with that. March 20th, or is it April? I think it's Friday. We'll have to check that out.
You're right.
We're going to keep Laura for last because she's in Florida. My weather, people, my weather is in the upper 30s in Northern Virginia. I'm still getting used to being back in the cold. We just had a crazy winter in Virginia here. I guess it's not normal, but we had it, all the snow and whatnot. All right, Laura, how cold is it in Tampa, Florida?
It's a little unusually chilly for this time of year. So we're only at 68 right now. We'll be in the 70s tomorrow, but today I think the high was just like 68. So
That's lovely.
yeah, a little unusual.
Unfortunately, I never really got to enjoy the Florida winters because I was always elsewhere when it was winter. But
Yeah.
so
Yes.
also when I talk about instructors and teachers, Laura is a teacher by trade, although she was the last person I got together with before I moved out of Florida. And at that point, she was retired. And I've dropped the ball at checking in with her. So when I asked her about coming on the podcast tonight, she said, well, it's spring break. It'll be fine. And I'm like, every day is spring break for you. You're retired. And she's like, no, I went back to work.
Yeah. Well, I kept telling everyone that I was closing a chapter and I was starting a new chapter. And Bill kept calling it retirement, my husband. And I kept saying, I don't like the word retirement. I don't know what I'm doing yet.
Yeah.
So an opportunity came up that I really liked. And I'm like, that's my next chapter for now.
See that? And you said retirement's overrated anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's too many hours in the day, people. We need things to do.
I
We
know.
need things to do.
I know. I woke up this morning and I was like, I just want to retire and do nothing some days. And then I'm like, that's a vacation, people, right?
That's vacation.
That's why people take vacations. All right. Well, cheers, you guys. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you
Cheers.
for doing this. We must take a sip or it's bad luck. Okay. So I have my list of questions. Like I said, I really wanted to do this because there's a lot. I want to talk about some controversies with Pilates, but I'm going to get to those down the road because I want you guys to get to know. And when I say you guys, I'm talking to the B4 babes who are watching this. I want you guys to get to know these ladies and their styles and a little bit more about how they feel about Pilates. So I want to start out with I teach mat Pilates. I do not teach. I call it apparatus. This is my question to you guys. When you say, okay, let's just throw it out there. Anne-Marie, what do you say you teach? Do you just say Pilates? What do you say?
Yeah, I would say I teach classical Pilates, and I teach on the apparatus as well as mat classes.
Okay, all right.
And we were trained to Joseph Pilates referred to it as apparatus, so you're correct.
Yes, 1 point.
Not equipment.
1 point for me. And yes, Anne-Marie is you're trained in
Classical Pilates
but for the equipment.
for the apparatus.
Right. Okay. The apparatus. Beth, help me out here. You too. You're trained in both.
But I'm trained in both. And I would say that I have moved a little bit away from more classical, although I do classical moves for sure. But it's a little bit more athletic, I would say. So it depends on my clients, though, I would say. So they range in age. My oldest client right now is 83, and we're not doing anything like standing on the reformer. So I usually, for my client base up here, I distinguish it between mat and apparatus.
Gotcha. All right. And Laura, what are you currently taking? Like,
I currently am a Club Pilates member still. I'm chugging my way to 750 classes, which they have their milestones at Club Pilates. I would have been there by now, aside from the fact that I took the pause during COVID and took obviously your classes, which were phenomenal. And then every summer I leave, and then I get to take classes with my sister all summer. So, yeah, I mean, if I were to have stayed during that year and do every summer, I'd probably be around 1,000 classes at Club Pilates now because I've been doing it for 6 years there. And it fits my lifestyle, and we definitely call it reformer. They call it the reformer.
yeah, you do reformer. Okay. Does Club Pilates have their own? Do they train their own instructors, or do you can go in as a Pilates instructor and teach what you want to teach? Or you don't know. You probably.
I'm pretty sure Beth would know that better.
Yeah, I would say it's both. That's actually where I got trained. Um, so you have to, if you go through their training, you just need to test out and you still need to audition to get a job.
Right.
At Club Pilates, but they will bring other teachers in. They'll just kind of Club Pilateize them a little bit.
Yeah, gotcha. Club Pilates is a sister studio to Pure Barre.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I only teach mat people. I don't teach. I was not trained. That was a decision that I made. I wanted to focus on mat. I didn't want to train in reformer. And I will say that I kind of feel like I teach classic Pilates with a little contemporary flair. I like to revert back to classic a lot. But I also feel like I'm worried, which we'll talk about. Like I like to mix it up. Like, I feel like if I just went to my manual, which is what I used to do in the beginning, and just teach all of those exercises that are in the manuals, that I wanted to be able to kind of branch out just a little bit. So I think I'm kind of like right in between Anne Marie and Beth with that. So then you already answered one of my questions, which was the next one, which was going to be, how would you describe your style? What drew you to Pilates? And this will be for all three of you. Was there something specific that drew you to the format? Were you taking it first as a student and then you decided to teach Beth and Anne? Well, Anne, I already know your answer to that.
For me, I have always been a fitness enthusiast, but I was always a person that felt like you had to have a really good sweat to have a good workout. But I experienced osteoporosis early. And because of that, I was looking for a workout that would be a little gentler on my body and bones, but that would be, weight bearing and would still help with that. So I was doing ClassPass when we lived in Chicago and trying all these new studios. It was like the time of all these boutique studios opening. And so I used ClassPass to just kind of get a little taste of each one and find which ones I really liked. And I went for an intro session at Club Pilates. And it was okay. I'm like, because it wasn't that sweat. And I was just like, I don't know, there's something about it. I kind of like it. So I went back. And then I thought, well, I liked a full class. So I'll start a membership there and I'll start with like 4 classes a month, which then went to 8 classes a month, then went to unlimited. And then I was starting to think, what's my second chapter going to be? And at that point I was really hooked on Pilates. So I just decided, and there was a training coming up, and it kind of worked out that every weekend that I looked for when the trainings were, we didn't have anything going on. So I'm like, oh, the stars are aligning. It's meant to be. And that's when I started the training and decided this is what I want to teach. I want to do this as my second chapter. I want to introduce as many people as I can to Pilates because I love it so much. I feel like others will love it so much. And that's what I started teaching in Chicago. And during the pandemic, we moved up to Wisconsin full time. And then, there's no Pilates studio. I mean, I live in a very rural area. So I thought I'll try it. Who knows? People might not know. And And it took a while for sure, but that's kind of how I started, is just kind of going to an intro class and looking for something that was a little softer, a little gentler on my bones.
Right, right. And Anne?
I kind of fell into Pilates, taking Pilates in around 2015. A friend of ours, my very best friend and her husband went to a studio that I now teach at, and he was going to have hip surgery, and there was going to be a spot open, and he said, "Oh, you should give it a try." And the timing was perfect for me, the time of day. And so I said, "Okay, I'll take a spot," thinking that it was just going to be maybe a 6 week thing. And I just loved it. I fell in love with the resistance part that the apparatus offers you, the reformer. I also teach what's called tower, which is basically the mat, but then we have springs that are attached. And Laura, you have that at Club Pilates. It's on what's on the wall, like the
Right.
arms and things. So it's the same idea. It's just set up a little different. And I just thought that to get that resistance training, it was the coolest workout I ever did. So I did that I wound up staying. They made room for me in the class, and I wound up staying. And I think it was 6 or 7 years later, I decided to become an instructor. My instructor was encouraging me, and it was the right time after COVID. And it was just a nice change of a career for me. So that's how I got into it.
Okay. And that's great because you had been taking it, you loved it.
Yeah.
And, so you could come from that perspective. And Beth, I love what you said because that's the way I felt about bar. I loved the workout, and that's why I wanted to start teaching it and sharing it, with people because I was so passionate about it. And then bar naturally led me to Pilates because for my format with bar, it's based on Pilates principles. And so I was teaching at a lot of clubs, and they kept asking me to sub Pilates. And I'm like, well, I don't teach Pilates. So they're like, just watch some YouTube videos. I'm like, okay, watch some YouTube videos to teach. So that's when I went and got my trainings and certifications. And I mean, I love it. I love, love, love the format. But I'm very different from you guys because now I just teach virtually. So I'm on Zoom or I'm on demand. So that is a way different way of teaching Pilates. But you guys are very hands-on. I also started with the background that I was a group fitness instructor. So example, I'm at 24-hour fitness and there's 40 people in the room taking a mat Pilates class. You're not going around and hands-on and adjusting everybody. You're verbally cueing and maybe making it to the worst people in the class with the form before you're moving on. So my way of teaching is probably very different from you guys, but I love that, and I love how much you guys love the format. How do you describe Pilates to a person who comes to your class and that's brand new, has never taken it? And I'll give my answer because mine's always short and sweet. Pilates teaches your body how to move correctly. That's the way I short and sweet. I don't want to get into a lot of technical stuff with them if it's their first class and overwhelm them. So that's my little gimmick that I say.
I have used words like that a few times, but I typically say it is a core-based exercise program. And our job is to strengthen all of the muscles in the core so that everything you do in life, you do with more ease,
Right.
better, and hopefully without getting injured.
Right. And I love that. And I will add on. So my example would be teaching your body to move correctly. If you're going down a flight of stairs and you slip and miss that last step, your core will kick in and you won't tweak your back. Right. Which is kind of what you're saying. It's strengthening everything. Yeah. How about you, Beth? Do you have anything?
I usually tell, because I think people generally, at least I've found, are always like, "Oh, you're a yoga instructor," and I always say, "No, I actually am really bad at yoga. I'm not certified in yoga." I know a little bit about it. So I always say it's different in that it is a little less meditative that way. We are not holding poses for very long. We're flowing through our moves, but it is one where you will have a strong mind-body connection, but you won't sort of drift off. You really do need to think about what you're doing in Pilates. And again, obviously we're cueing them a lot, talking through all of the exercises. So, because a lot of times I'll have people say, oh, I found yoga to be so boring. I'm like, I haven't heard anyone say Pilates is boring. They don't have time to be bored.
No. Laura, do you think Pilates is boring?
Do I?
Yeah.
This is the only exercise I've ever stuck with in my life. As opposed to my sister Beth, I would have avoided any workout. I was always trying to stay fit, but I just never found anything that I really enjoyed to keep doing. And that is, I think, the biggest testament for it, because I think for more reticent workout aficionados, like you like to work out, but you just dabble in a lot of things. I've never stuck with something like this long, because now we're talking 7 years, because I started the year before our studio opened in 2019. So I can't, maybe even 2018. And I still love it. Like, I try to go 3 to 4 times a week, and I have an unlimited membership. There's been a lot of new studios popping up, which I'm sure you might touch on that idea. But I love the convenience. I love, it is kind of an expected flow for the most part, but the instructors keep it interesting. And I do feel like my core at my age, and I also have osteoporosis. I feel like it's the only exercise, the only fitness that really speaks to all that.
That's amazing. I love that. And Beth, I was like you, if I wasn't sweating like a pig, I didn't think I was working out. Years of running, and Anne Marie was a runner too, and just took a toll on my low back. And I started bar and Pilates, and I was like, oh my God, it just helped with all of that. But the thing, Laura, when I'm listening to you talk about how you've stuck with um, Pilates and Club Pilates, also let's be totally honest. It's not cheap to take Pilates reformer classes.
Right,
It is an
right.
investment in yourself. Like, you are investing in yourself, right?
Correct,
Um,
correct.
but I also like to say that you get what you pay for. So, right, you
This
they
is
are
true.
well-trained instructors. Hopefully, any Pilates instructor, we'll talk about that later, is a well-trained instructor, and so you get what you pay for. So,
Mhm.
do you feel like, and all three of you, your relationship with Pilates has changed from when you started to now?
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Uh,
I think it's something, as an instructor, you can really only achieve after having seen a lot of bodies and worked with a lot of different kinds of issues, or even non-issues, just people, but any range of, back issues, neck issues, hip issues, things like that. And you can't help but grow in that and learn from experience, about someone with osteoporosis, or
Scoliosis. Yeah.
place, things like that. So yes, the relationship has grown a lot. Sometimes, when you're teaching a regular class where you feel like people are, pretty much on the same level, and we don't have any big concerns, that's a really enjoyable class to teach. But when you have people that have special cases, special needs, then I feel concerned, concerned about their safety. Is this the right exercise for them? And I feel hyper vigilant in those types of classes. So that can be a little bit more of a, I don't want to say tense, but you're on it. You have to be on it. You're responsible. The carriage is moving. They're up, like Beth said, they're maybe standing up, or, and so you have to be on it. in a case like that. So yeah, I would say definitely. And in that, my confidence has changed dramatically from when I started. I think I probably, I wish I had the tape of my first class. It was probably pretty awful.
No, oh my God. I look back at some of my YouTube videos. I'm like, what? Why did I say that? Like, what an idiot. No. So, but no, what do you like? What is your largest class size, Anne?
Well, we have
Yeah.
relatively small studio compared to like Club Pilates. I'm pretty sure that most of those have 12, can have 12 people. The most I can have on reformers at any one time is 5. We only have 5 reformers, but we have capacity for 8 people to be on the towers, which is what mimics the mat, but it has the resistance on one end. So the most I can teach with that is 8. And then if we had a mat class, I could probably have 30 or so.
Yeah. Yeah. How about you, Beth?
So my studio is in my home and I have 2 reformers. And I have a chair and then I have a springboard. So I usually do one-on-ones. And funny enough, I really got the second reformer because I didn't feel like I was working out very much, as Laura could attest to, because I was always maybe jumping on to show somebody something if I wasn't talking them through it. But then I was like, I'm really not even working out anymore. So I got a second reformer. But I do a lot of 2-on-1s, but I also do a lot of 1-on-1s still. And if I do my mat classes outside, then it could be as little as 7 or it could be as great as 40. It just all varies.
Right. And that's my question, Beth. Is that front lawn by the lake? Yeah, I was on your Facebook page because I already had seen the pictures and I wanted to reacquaint myself with it. Is that your front lawn?
It is.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It is. I mean, well, luckily now we're seeing open water again, but there are quite a few months where we're seeing frozen.
I want
And
to come and be. I want to come and be on that front lawn in one of those classes. Anne Marie, I'm going to send you the pictures. It's picturesque, people. Um,
really,
it is.
yeah, I'm very lucky.
Yeah. So yeah. So then you're teaching. So you're doing. Are you doing Zoom classes too, or did you just do that during COVID?
I just stopped those this year because my demand for more reformer classes were increasing and I just couldn't find I needed that extra hour that I was teaching those. So now if I have time, I'll put a class out on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. But well, I am still doing one client who asked if I could continue to do it online, but otherwise everything's in person now for me.
Yeah. So then Beth and Anne, when you teach Matt, are you doing it with them or are you demoing your up and around?
So I never do it with the clients. We were trained not to just use your cueing. But truthfully, I don't teach a lot of mat classes
Right.
but even if I did, I would not do it with them, which is hard I'm sure for you to, because
Well, no, because I'm a virtual instructor, which we'll talk about. Like, what am I going to be doing? Just standing right here at my bar, like okay, but it's different. It's different. Yeah.
yeah,
And I know
yeah.
Matt isn't your first love, Anne Marie. That's why we get along so great because we're like, you're the reformer and I'm the Matt. Beth, what about you?
I do it with them actually.
Yeah.
So I'm usually in the front and they're following. I'm still talking the entire time so that they know what they're doing for those I can't see it, but I do it with them.
Yeah. And the talking thing is interesting too.
Yeah.
And Laura, I'm sure you've witnessed this a lot in your classes that you take. It's like people, you got to get used to talking, right? You got to get used to talking the whole time, and words aren't going to flow unless you're doing it a lot. Type so, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I feel really fortunate because I've taken your classes, your style. I've taken Beth's style. I love Matt. I love Reformer. I love the springboard. The only thing I don't like is the chair. I don't like the chair. My hips don't like the chair at all. Kind of why I can't really run anymore these days because that's where my osteoporosis is, and it just gets like tight. And they're like, "Well, you should use the chair more," and I'm like, "But my hips don't like the chair." So I like everything else.
Yeah, yeah. And that goes back to what these guys are talking about when you have clients who have different issues, right? And
Hmm.
I mean, I'm fortunate. My clientele is small, and so I know I've gotten to know everybody really well, so I know, um, what to expect from them and what they can do and what they can't do. And I think it's just made me a better instructor having to cue with the modifications that I do. Which
Hmm.
brings me to my next question. What's your favorite cue to use, you guys?
Ooh.
Do you have one? Or what do you use the most? How about that? Here, I
Abs up. I feel like I say that a lot. Pull your abs in and up, and
Yep.
it's
And people will say the second I forget, you remind me to do that. So, I mean,
Hmm.
it's effective. I think I do. I say that all that and breathe. I don't forget to breathe.
Don't forget to breathe. Slide your shoulder blades down your back.
yes.
It's things like that.
Exhale forcefully. I don't.
Yeah, like you're
Yeah.
blowing out a candle for those
Yeah.
hundreds. We'll get to those. Um, I know. Laura, what's one cue that you hear and you're like, oh yeah, I need to do that?
I think the definitely body position, any body position cue is, even if I know the move that we're going to be doing, it's always good to be reminded of, where my body is on the reformer. And definitely breathing, because like Beth said, like part of why I love it is I'm a big meditator. I love the mind body connection and just really doing my breathing. I mean, I appreciate all of it. And, it's funny because I'm a teacher, I teach middle school. So I know how, like, I have to talk a lot too. And for me, going to Pilates is so lovely because I don't have to talk and I can just listen to someone tell me what to do for an hour. And it is like the best escape for me. I love it.
That's why I used to love power walking, which I haven't seemed to do that much because I could just pop on my music and I wouldn't have to think. And I could just
Yes.
go and just kind of lose myself and get a workout in. But I'm kind of like Beth. Like, I feel like I don't work out a lot for myself,
Yeah.
because I'm I'm sore. I'm tired. It's like, oh, but I mean, I'm doing it with them, but still, you know what I mean. What is the most underrated exercise in Pilates? And Laura can answer this one too. And then on the other breath, what's the most overrated one? What do we think about the hundreds? Do you guys teach the hundreds in every class?
Every class.
I was going to say, Anne, you have to because you said you're classic.
Yes. I would say that might be the most underrated one. I think people hate it. So like that's, I think we've already done 100. They really uncomfortable position, and it seems to go on and on. And I always tell people in Pilates, and the nice thing is we don't do a lot of reps of anything.
Yeah,
Stop at 8 or 10. Like we're not doing 20 and 30 of pretty much anything.
yeah.
So that's the good news is that if you don't like it, it's going to be over quick, but people hate the 100. So I feel like that might be underrated because it is really designed to get you warmed up, to warm up your core, to fire up the powerhouse. And I don't get a great response with 100.
So that must be the one you hate to teach. I tell my people, listen, Joseph Pilates got up. He hopped on the floor every morning when he got out of bed and he did the hundreds until the day he died. Now, he did kind of die at a younger age. I think it was 84, which I feel like nowadays is younger. But I try not to tell them that. And I also tell them that the exhales, I believe, are easier to do than the inhales. It's hard to get 5 inhales in. How do you count? I'm doing it on my fingers. Like, so when I'm on the ground doing it, I'll put a finger down when I get one set done. But inevitably, if I watch back a video, I'm like, oh, I did more than 100.
I agree. That happens to me all the time.
Does
I
it?
don't teach it in for every session for a client. I'll do some other exercise, but don't mind it. I personally don't mind it. One of my favorites I love feet and straps, but lately I've been doing feet and straps with the magic circle, and it just like completely engages your inner thighs, and that's my new favorite right now that everyone is dreading.
Oh wow, I like that idea. Also, I know officially it's called the magic circle. I don't know why. I just call it the Pilates ring. I don't know why. Laura, do you have a favorite or a least favorite exercise?
I'd say what cracks me up is the difference in the way people count. Some are very slow counters, and some of you are very quick counters. It just depends on the instructor. Some are like, this feels like 1,000, but okay.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd have to say, my anything that's like upper core related is really hard for me to do, like to really curl up. Like that's not my strength. My legs are much stronger than my upper core, especially because like on feet and straps, I'm really with your training and Beth's training, I'm very diligent about keeping my body in alignment, and some people are like their behinds off the reformer and they're swinging their legs every which way, and I like really see it as a great leg and, lower core. Like I can do those things. So like, I love bridging. I don't mind bridging at all. Planking's fine. It's not, sometimes not my favorite, because again, it's like my upper core, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, it's my challenge.
That's your challenge. One of the things
yeah, I'm a little weaker. I'm weaker there.
That's well, you're not weaker. That's your focus point. That's what you on. I tell my classes a lot. When you're bridging, not everybody can articulate their spine off the ground. Everyone's obviously curvature is different. So I'm like, you have to just lift and lower, then just lift and lower. But I'm with you. When I used to teach in person and I'd see people's hips up super high, I'm like, okay, that's just recipe for a disaster. I'm like, put your fist under your low back. That's how high I want your hips off the ground.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that my least favorite, I'm sure you guys do this with reformer. My least favorite to teach is the jackknife. Where you roll up and your feet go up over your head, and then like I myself will feel that in my triceps, like because I'm right. It's a big arm, yeah. So you do teach that, you guys?
Yes, both on the reformer and on the mat. That is an exercise that I am really cautious with because we have a lot of people that are of the age where you could have arthritis in your neck. Invariably, especially for first timers, unless I'm working, one-on-one with them, it's a big ask for a person's body, and they can really get into the neck more than beyond the ears. And so I'd like to do that more on a one-on-one. I mean, it is part of a advanced mat. So if you're teaching that, you teach it, but it's one of those exercises I was mentioning earlier that, it makes me a little concerned. So I try to see, I really need to know who's in my class before I would put that exercise in.
Yep.
Just to be safe.
Yeah, I have known instructors who won't teach that. They won't teach rolling like a ball because they just don't want to risk people going to their neck. You know what I mean? But I mean, you just have to be really good. How about you, Beth? Do you have an unfavorite one to teach?
Oh, an unfavorite one to teach. I don't know if I really have an unfavorite one to teach.
Do you have one that you could teach in your sleep?
I feel like, any arm series, I'm always trying to think of like a new way to teach it just so that it doesn't get too boring. Maybe put a ball underneath our tailbone, those sorts of things. Yeah, there's like the snake. I don't teach snake to anybody. I feel like if I can't do it well, I'm not going to teach it to anyone because there's no need.
Well, that's another one of my questions. Do you feel like you have to be perfect or have mastered the exercise before you can teach it to your students?
Personally, I do. And there are some things that I'll know that I'm avoiding, and then I'll start working on them myself personally before I'll bring it back in. Because I can't do everything, like I'm definitely not great at everything by any means. There's lots of areas I have to work on too. So there's just some things I don't even feel comfortable teaching. So
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I get that. Laura, what makes for a good class for you from the student's perspective?
Oh, I would definitely say the flow of cues because I mean, especially at a place like Club Pilates, I mean, we've had instructors come and go. We have brand new instructors. I have an instructor, I always have my favorites because they literally just talk you through everything so smoothly that you're not wondering, wait, did I miss something or did they not cue that correctly? Because it can be, just things that you do all the time, but where to place your feet and, making sure you're placing them in a Pilates V versus, wide on the bar. And I mean, there are definitely some people that don't cue very solidly. And then it just kind of like it feels like a longer kind of, ooh, I'm not doing it correctly. And then I also have an instructor who, I mean, she probably uses every piece of the equipment, which is kind of fun because it's like we're just going and moving and flowing and using the BOSU and using the springs on the floor, springs on the arms off the reformer. So it's like my brain doesn't even have time to get bored. It's just keeping me busy.
Yeah, you're exhausting me just hearing that. You pick your classes based on the instructor, or the time slot just works for you.
Yes, there are instructors I avoid, and then there's instructors that I have that I enjoy that can line up with my schedule.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'll go on a Saturday or Sunday morning specifically because I love those instructors, even though I'd rather not necessarily go to class on a Sunday,
Right.
but I will go because I know that I'll have a good workout and maybe somebody on a Tuesday I try to avoid or something. So I definitely working on the app helps and just kind of, and I can also unlimited, I can schedule out 15 classes, which I like and kind of
Wow.
get it all lined up.
Yeah, you are awesome with that. Beth and Anne, how do you guys keep your formats or your classes fresh? And how often would you say you teach the same class? Do you sit down? So for me, I sit down and I write out my class. I pick my exercises, I write it out, I practice it, I learn it, I teach it. Um, do you guys do it that way when you teach reformer, or like how do you do that?
yes. So for my reformer classes, I'm old school. I still write them out.
I do too.
And I actually have like my client list. So my clients go down here and then I'll put the number of the flow that they're doing. So I look kind of at the calendar of who's coming this week and I'll decide which flow they're going to do. That helps me track too, that I'm not like repeating the exact same flow with them, because there are so many clients during the week and they're all on different ones. And I'm like, wait, did we do this or was it with someone else? So I do it that way. Oddly enough, with my mat, I don't even think about it. And when I start, it's like whatever just comes to mind. I kind of get in my zone, like I'm just teaching it to myself. So what do I need to kind of do? And I've always been that way. So for Matt, I used to try and write it down, and and I'm sure it was because I was newer at that time, but I also just felt like it was really cumbersome for me. So now I just let it flow, and whatever comes to mind kind of comes to mind.
All right, that's super impressive. Like I would freak out without having planned it out. Like I used to freak out if I wrote out the Pilates class, walked into the studio, and there was like a pregnant woman, like 7, 8 months pregnant. I'm like, all right, well, she can't be in her back as much as I'm gonna have her on her back. And I'm like, oh, I don't love to change it on the spot. I mean, I add little here and there.
Mhm. No, I know it. I mean, and I should be more freaked out about it. And I always think that too. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even think this through. But somehow it's always worked for me, like knock on wood, because The mat class I've never thought through, but the
Yeah.
reformer class I absolutely have to.
So interesting. Anne, what about you?
Completely different from both of you. So Beth, you went through Club Pilates for training.
Mm-hmm.
Use the terminology flow, whereas the training I had, it's just different terminology. We don't have a set flow. Rather, we would call it an order. And so I just have to know who I'm teaching that day. If I have a first timer, I'm going to go through a first timer order. If I have a beginner, I'm going to work on beginner exercises only. And I'm going to, pardon me, I'm going to introduce them to the mat, the reformer, and the chair. If I have an intermediate, I'm going to do an intermediate. I'm going to assess as I go. Is she advanced intermediate? Is she stronger than I thought she was? I can kind of figure that out. But if I'm with someone the first time, it's a first time order for me until I know who they are. If she's a first timer and she's 30 and she's in great shape and she's been exercising, I'm gonna step it up a little. But I'm gonna be cautious. A lot of times people look like they're in great shape and they are, but it's a different kind of exercise. So I'm just kind of, I stick to the order. In my training, I remember my instructor telling me, teach what you know. And so I do. And I always find safety in that. Like I never have to create a class. However, that being said, I have lots of flexibility on when I teach a tower class. I often change, especially the beginning and the end. I change those, I flip-flop back and forth which exercises I will do there. We have, hundreds of exercises to choose from, but I try to find a common string when I teach a class like that. So whereas you guys are, putting a class together, I try to find a common uh, group of exercises from the original order. And I always weave them in, but I might maybe I'll do the lying side series with the leg springs. Sometimes I'll do it without. Sometimes I do it with the springs. I try to change it like that. Um, or maybe I'll do teaser with the push through bar, and maybe next time, I won't. Maybe I'll do a magic circle class. It's all the same exercises, but I can spice them up a little, and then again, that depends on who's in my class. And if I'm going to do anything overhead, I have to know who's in my class. I'm not going to put anybody in a situation that, if they have a bad neck or they have a bad shoulder, they can't support themselves, then I'm not going to put anything in any overhead exercise. So, or if I do that, I have to be ready with, a modification for that person. So I don't make up the class like that. I kind of, usually when I get in the car, I'm like, oh, I'm going to teach Karen today. And, I know what I can do with her, or I'm going to teach this one. And, well, we started on that last time. Maybe we'll start on reformer, but I will. And sometimes I spend more time on one apparatus than another. So then I can change, one or the other, make one more challenging. So
So
it's
if
different.
if you have 5 people in your class, which you said is max, right?
On the reformer,
On
yeah.
the reformer,
Mm.
could you have a beginner, couple intermediates, and an advanced within that class, or they can't sign up that way?
Um, Technically, I suppose they could, but it just never happens.
Okay.
Um, Usually people come to get, when people come and take a reformer class, they are friends. They're usually, they come together like a
Yeah.
group of women, be like, we want to try this out. And, that's usually how it evolves. Or like if I have space in a class and I know somebody's looking for a spot, I can put them in there, but I wouldn't put a first timer. Not because we aren't trained to teach different levels, but I want it to have a really nice flow for everybody. And I don't want anyone to think I'm not paying attention to them, because she's new, I'm focusing over here more. Um, so it just sort of, I don't know, somehow it just always seems to work out that you have people in a similar place.
Ability.
That said, though, there are definitely times when you have someone who, has an issue. Like I have a client who comes with her daughter all the time, and they're both pretty equal, except the mom just had a hip replacement. So, now I'm throwing more modifications in for her. So,
Yeah.
it just goes smoother if everybody can kind of be in a similar place. That's all.
I definitely keep the flow going, and sometimes most of them won't. They keep their cameras off during my classes, but sometimes they're on, and I'm like, I've moved on to the next exercise, and they joke with me, "You're so fast, you're on to the next exercise, and we're not even, whatever, and set up." And I'm like, I know, but I got to keep your heart rate up, and I got to keep you going. So it's hard. It is hard finding. Again, it's all about the cues, right? and and getting them through it. But all right, I do want to transition over to um some of the chatter that I was talking about when we started the podcast that I had heard. So social media can be a beast. It can also be fantastic. So there was at one point, I think this goes on, I shouldn't say just at one point, chatter about Pilates police or gatekeepers, instructors commenting not nicely on other instructors. Well, that's not what you call Pilates. Um, I even heard from a lecture that I was in, and it was from a very seasoned instructor and national, international trainer, that she will never teach any C curve exercises. And she believes if Joseph Pilates was around now, he'd rethink doing anything in a C curve, because it's not a natural position for your body. But so the way I look at it, we are all Pilates instructors. I know that we teach differently. I never look at another Pilates instructor who teaches mat or who teaches virtually like I do and feel like I'm in competition with them. I feel like we all bring something very different to the table. I would never look at somebody and say, okay, that's not Pilates. Like, I remember last year I was texting Marie because I was subbing an in-person class in California. I'm like, oh my God, it's classical Pilates for posture. Like, am I just going through all the classic positions? Like, what am I like? So people have different names for things, but I don't believe that one can't be like the other. Do you know what I mean? Do you guys have any like thoughts on it? I also think from when Joseph Pilates developed this amazing movement, things have changed. I think Anne and Beth and even Laura, you guys can say the apparatus has changed. The springs have changed, right? Like, so I think we have to adjust with movement, injuries, people's bodies. So what do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, I think also I feel like I have evolved from just having taught in a studio to now getting to teach in my own personal studio. I have so much more freedom, I feel like. So because of that, I have evolved in how I teach Pilates. Like I said, it's a little bit more, I wouldn't call it classical, and because I know it's not anymore. But it is, I mean, it is definitely still based on those like core principles, but it is a little bit more athletic. And I know that I've morphed into that. I like that. And I never want to, I never would look at a classical Pilates teacher and be like, oh, that's classical, that's boring, because I know how hard that is to teach and to do. But it's just kind of where I've gone. And because I get to teach in my home studio, I feel like I had a little bit more leeway to do it that way. And you're right, things are evolving, but I think I just have evolved the way what I teach and how I teach it because I had that freedom to do it.
Right.
I was telling Laura the other day, I'm like, I don't think I could even teach in in like a studio anymore, like a club Pilates. I just don't feel like I could do it anymore. Because it's been so long, and two, because I've kind of like shifted in what I'm teaching, that it would be hard for me to pull it back, I feel like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to look at other people for inspiration versus like judgment, I feel like.
I
you
love
know.
that. That's a beautiful thing that you just said because I do too, and I feel like we can learn from other instructors. Um, so I mean, I have like all. I also feel like you, Beth, in that I'm doing my own thing now. So I feel like I have more leeway, I have more freedom to teach the way I would like to teach. I don't want to be judged. When I first started teaching, I feel like I said, I would pull out my mat Pilates beginner, intermediate, and advanced manuals, and I would write my workouts, and I would stick with that, and then I would feel like, oh boy, am I being judged? You know what I mean, in classes, and I don't want to have that heavy weight on me. But yeah, I feel like things have evolved. I mean, people can teach Pilates-ish classes
Right.
or they can stick with classical. Some days I just want to teach my basic classic, I won't call them basic, classic exercises and just go back because I like to take them back to that and remind them this is the position, these are the core exercises. And it doesn't have to be like it's a beginner class because we're going back to those core exercises. Anne, what do you think?
I think evolution in exercise, as in anything, is fantastic. And it just because he created a system, Joseph Pilates created a system that works wonderfully, doesn't mean that it has to stay that forever. I mean, as a society, we've learned so much about the human body and movement and what is good and what isn't. And I feel like as long as you're secure and you can keep your clients safe, I think it's fantastic. The more variety, the better. The more people you can attract to exercise, the better. And I like the idea about what Beth said about being more athletic. I took a Pilates class when I was traveling, and it was on mega reformers, which are very different from what I was on. And it was so much more, I guess, athletic is the best word for it. Um, but there are also, a lot of risks with that. So I was fine on it, but I could envision myself teaching that and being concerned about certain people being on that, moving that quickly. There was a lot of music. I couldn't really hear the instructor. So there's, you have to take responsibility as a client for yourself too, and know what's best for you, and give something a try. And Laura was saying that, some instructors you fit better with, and, find that instructor that you feel safe with and that you feel works for you, that you understand she's cueing right. Um, but evolution in exercise is fantastic. And I think it is really unfortunate that people would judge other instructors, or a style of teaching. Everybody is different, and that's how life should be. If
Yeah.
everything was the same, nobody would want to do it. The variety is fantastic. And even in our studio, everybody has a different way of saying everything. Everybody that it's like all of you, we love all of you, but you're all so different, the way we say things, our classes are different, and that's great. I think that should be celebrated, not criticized.
Yeah, perfect.
Right, because I know like some of the instructors that I don't particularly enjoy their style as much, their classes are always filled and they have people who love their style. And I think one of the things that's very fascinating is that like there are a couple instructors that think that 12 people should be all doing everything pretty much the same because then that proves to them, to the instructor, that they're doing good cueing and everybody's on board, whatever. But the point is, maybe I'm having a lower back issue today, and not going to do, articulation. That is like, I don't have to do the same thing as 11 other people just because I'm in that class. And that's after years of being there, I have, adjusted to knowing what my body feels like for the day and who I know that goes, very much individual. With some people will do a certain move, others won't, and they won't be offended by it. So I think it's a very give and take relationship between the client and the instructor.
Right. And you're right. At this point, you've been doing it long enough. And I always say it, I'm sure you guys do. listen to your body. Like, and I think Pilates teaches you that as well as the student, to listen to what is going on and what you are feeling. Like Beth was talking about before, it is a mind body experience. You're not thinking about going to the grocery store afterwards, or else you're going to feel, and you're like, oh, darn, I just felt that in my back, because you know what I mean? Because I'm not engaging my
Right.
core.
Mhm.
So, but, and just curious, and Beth, you can tell me too, do you, when you went and took Megaformer, did you mention you were an instructor or no?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I
I
was in,
never do.
no, I was in Texas with my daughter, and this was where she went on the regular. And I was actually, this is a good segue to talk about Club Pilates and what I think is great about that. But I was just concerned for other people. Like I was thinking, man, this is like you're standing up and you're moving fast, and there's, and she didn't know anything about me.
Yeah,
She didn't know anything about me. So, like I
That's
said, you have to take responsibility for yourself when you're getting into something like that, and be sure that either approach the instructor and tell them, listen, I have this issue or that issue. Um, if it's in a big club setting like that, or you have to do a little research and just be, is this for me kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Club Pilates, I think, I really came close to becoming an instructor there. The timing wasn't going to work out, but I talked to them a lot. And what I was so impressed with Club Pilates is they were able to expand their classes to 12. As far as I know, it's pretty standard that 12 people in a class. Is that
I think
right?
so.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
But whoever created that program was able to come up with a way to keep 12 people moving safely. It's,
Yes.
the reformer it's not to be, taken lightly. Like there's a lot going on. And how do you have 12 people standing up on a reformer at once? And who do you spot and who, that can be really hairy, but they found a way to take, the roots of Pilates, if you will, and keep everyone safe. So
Right.
they do a lot more exercises where you're either lying down or sitting up, maybe.
Mhm.
And when you're standing up, I didn't take one of the really advanced classes at Core Pilates, but or Club Pilates, but you're standing up on the floor, you're safe. They found
Mhm.
to have everybody working, be challenged, but to keep them safe. And I thought that was pretty incredible because that's hard
I
to
agree. I
do.
agree. Yeah,
I
because you could be like, they could say, we're going to do this kneeling, but don't kneel if you're not comfortable kneeling. And then nobody feels embarrassed because they're like, oh, okay, there's another alternative. And I think that's really helpful. And they go by the 1.5, 2.0. And so that also helps for people to kind of stay in their lane of what
yeah,
they know they're going to have to be challenged by.
yeah. And I think some of the studios may even have you sort of someone will tell you if
Oh,
you're,
you do. You like, I think there's a 2.5. You have to test.
yeah.
You cannot take it if you haven't passed the test,
Yeah,
for
so they
sure.
created a really nice program for people to be safe in, and it protects the instructor as
And
well.
back to the affordability key, because it would be, I love to take more individual instruction. But then that's a huge commitment. I mean, that's an expensive prospect.
Yeah.
And not that it doesn't have value, and I think it's fabulous. But for me to want to exercise as much as I do in a week, I could, that's not on the table for me. So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's good to hear that they have such a safe program in place. And I like that feedback on that.
mhm, mhm.
You guys use music in your class?
They do, but very, it's soft. I mean, they do the jump board, and then that's a more high impact, and they'll do like a little bit louder, a little bit more intense music. But generally, it's a pretty, you hear the instructor way more than the music's just background.
What about you, Anne? Do you use it?
We don't, uh, I would like to. It's sort of just the way we were trained that you're supposed to be focusing on your body, but I have taken Club Pilates classes and I really like that there's background music.
Background
Yeah,
music.
that
Beth,
it's
do you? Oh, well, you're mostly one-on-one with your clients, though, right? So,
Right. And I do have music in the background. And that's like one of the things I actually like, putting together different playlists,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah,
Do you use it for your mat classes when you're outside lakeside?
I do.
See, you should get some lake music, like some water music. I feel like a DJ with my playlists, and I have different like vibes. I've got like a sultry vibe like playlist. I've got some jazz, but like most of my ladies are probably 50s, 60s, early 70s for a few of them. So I kind of, then I'll get the random younger people. So I have to kind of feel like I am a DJ. Um, all right, another term I've heard a lot in social media. Um, I'm going to go with my air quotes again. Pilates body. Do you, I see some instructors targeting, saying this is the Pilates body, basically, that I can give you if you take my classes. And to me, it's a pet peeve. It's like the social media people who say, this is what I eat in a day. I don't care because what you eat isn't going to work for me because it's you know what I mean? Everyone's body is different. So I don't know if you guys have heard the term Pilates body, but do you feel like that's an actual thing out there? Or do you feel like, knowing your students, everyone's a different shape, size, you know? And it's
Absolutely.
not about the physical being.
Yeah, I mean, so my youngest client is 17 right now. My oldest is 82, 83. And, my oldest client comes twice a week. I have some that come 3 times a week, some that just come once a week. And, everybody's different. I don't know how we could,
Put them
fix
in a
that.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I'm still looking to achieve the perfect body. I mean, like, and I know, like, I shouldn't have eaten the Twizzlers last night after we got home, like that. So, yeah.
Blame that
Uh,
on Laura. Yeah, no, I think it's about strength and it's about, are you able to do more reps in a session than you were, a month or so ago? I don't know. Anne, what do you think?
That is not a term in my, my circle, if you will. I think I've probably seen it on social media, but I don't, I don't really even know what that means because, like you said, everyone is so
It's like the
everybody,
lean, like, yeah.
and what you expect out of what someone looks like is not usually what what they can do. You're constantly surprised, if you will. Um, I I don't use that term at all. The only thing I would like to follow up on that is I have heard a lot of people talking about people would come in and show me a picture of someone they saw on social media doing Pilates and be like, I want her back. I want to look like that. And it's a really delicate thing. You want to caution people because I don't believe that Pilates is a get skinny quick kind of thing. And I don't want to mislead people that it is. This is a life, it can be a life-changing exercise if you really commit to it, strengthening everything so that, you know, Pilates isn't all that I do. I lift weights. I do all kinds of exercise. And the idea is that everything that you do in life, then you do better, or you're able to do with less injury. You're stronger, you can hike better, you can lift weights better. You're gonna, if you pick up a box, if you're working and you pick up, heavy things that you wouldn't get injured. So, I get concerned when I hear people talk like that they think that, well, if I take a few Pilates classes, I'm gonna look like, this person. That's
You're
just not,
not, because you don't know, like you said, what they're doing in addition to Pilates, or everybody's body is made differently.
yeah.
Like, people can achieve something, they're not going to achieve it the same way. You could have, right? Beth, do you agree? You could have two people doing the same workout. They're not going to look the same.
Absolutely. And I really feel like most of my clients are like, my back, I have back problems. I'd like to solve that, or like I'd like to make that better. So let's strengthen your core, let's work on your glutes, like all of these things. I love the feeling though when someone goes on vacation and comes back and is like, oh, I need this so much because, I could tell I took that week off or whatever. And that's the kind of thing where you're like, your body feels it. Maybe you didn't lose 10 pounds, which is a goal you might have, but it's like you feel better, your body feels better, you can move it differently. I mean, I feel like that's the achievement right there.
Yeah, I do. I love that. Um, all right, I'll start to wrap us up, but let me ask you a couple of questions and then yes, Anne, we're not going to play a game. She hates my games. We are going to do a we're going to do a lightning round of questions. So we talked about one of the big issues I wanted to talk about is the differences with instructors, and we're a beautiful group of people. We're not in competition. You find what works for you, you find the instructor that works for you, but do you feel like there's something that does unite all the instructors, no matter how different they are that they teach?
I mean, I hope that there is like that common thread of kind of how I started. Like, I just want to, I want to like bring the knowledge that to other people that may not have heard about it before. Like, I love it so much. I feel like it's changed the way I feel, that I just want sort of everyone to know about it. And I hope that's how most people feel when they're teaching. Like, they love it, so they want others to learn about it. I would think that's something we all share.
Right. We're certainly not in it for the money. Okay.
No,
No
not in
educator
Whitewater,
is.
Wisconsin. Yeah, not up here.
Yeah, I know.
Not-
What about what would you say to a new instructor who's just starting out, or maybe something even you wish you knew that you now know after years of doing it?
Well, we are actually our studio is actually a training facility now. So every couple months, a new group will come through that will, start with mat and then progress through the other apparatus training, and and so whenever you're new, you have to, part of your training is you have to practice, teaching a lot. So they're always looking for bodies to practice. And so whenever I talk to them, I remember that feeling so much going through the training. And honestly, it was intimidating. I was not young, and I was starting this brand new thing, and I was just so nervous that I was going to say the wrong thing. And you want to kind of stick to the script so that you know what to say, but you also don't want to sound like you're reading a script. And so it's a really delicate thing. And what I tried to tell every person who expresses the exact same feeling is just get comfortable with what the exercise is, and the words will come. And every time you say it, maybe it's going to be a little bit different, and that's okay. Just relax, take a deep breath. The people that you're teaching have no idea what's going through your head.
Yeah, right.
They don't,
True.
they're terrified, but they're just laying there happy that like Laura said earlier, I don't have to talk. I just can lay here and do what they tell me to do. So
I love it.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the advice I try to give new instructors is just relax.
Right. I'm with you though on the fear thing. If I had to go and do a bar audition right now or a Pilates, I would be like freaking out. And I'm so comfortable and confident in what I'm teaching, but it's like I'm not doing that. I would, that's why. And also, Beth, I was thinking about you because you teach from your home like I do. It's nice to be able to just throw that one batch of laundry in right before you're going to go live and start teaching, isn't it? I mean, just
Yes, my commute is so easy.
I know. Laura, advice would you give if you're in a class and there's somebody new? Do you have any advice that you would give to them, like inspiring words right before they were going to take?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I mean we definitely are cycling especially if I do a 1.0, there's always new people. And I think, I'm just always really encouraging, like, this is a great form of exercise, and nobody's paying attention to you. Don't worry about it. I think that's the biggest thing, is that, someone's worried like, oh, someone's watching me. No one's paying attention. I don't have time to be paying attention to anybody else,
That is
just
so
enjoy your own.
Yeah, I agree with you because I will usually say, leave your ego at the door. Don't worry about what your neighbor is doing. Like they
Right.
have a different body. I just, so yeah, but so I love that you say that. Um, Perfect. All right. Well, you guys, let's do some lightning questions before we say goodbye, which means you're going to answer with the first thing that comes to your head. So don't overthink it. All right. Now, Anne, at least it's not named that tune. Okay. Fun fact, people. I'm going to tell them, Anne. I'm going to tell them again.
Tell the story.
Very first podcast interview with me, I made her play Name That Tune. And she,
Okay.
Oh my God.
I'm not going to know the name of the song. I'll probably know the artist. I had her wedding song on there that I had to ask her daughter-in-law and her daughter. And I'm playing it, and she's like, I'm like, what is it, Joe Cocker? Love
Oh,
Will
I
You Up?
remember the name.
Anyway, all right. This is going to be easy for you. And Laura, you're in on it too. First thing that comes to your mind, reformer, mat, or tower? Which one's your favorite?
Reformer.
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 Mat for me, just for obvious reasons. Okay, your favorite cue to say. We kind of already talked about this. And Laura, yours to hear.
I guess feet and straps. Because I know they always do it at the end at Club Pilates, even if it's still an exercise.
Mine's belly in, like Anne's, belly in and up under the rib cage. Yeah.
Thank
I think mine is shoulder blades down your back, just because I have a tendency to hike them up a lot. So mine's
Now
like
you're
flat.
making me think about it. Okay. My shoulders are always killing me. Let's see, we talked about that. Oh, morning class or evening?
Morning.
Morning.
See, I like teaching Pilates in the evening, but my ladies don't want it in the evening. They want it in the morning, but that's my go-to. All right, this or that for all three of you. Pick one of these. I'm going to say it correctly because you two did. Magic circle or the Pilates ball? What's your favorite?
Oh, I'll say Pilates ball.
Magic circle.
Circle.
Ball. Thanks, Laura. Oh boy, this one's a good one. The hundreds or teaser?
Oh, Marianne, you know I'm terrible at the teaser.
I like the teaser. I like it better than the hundreds.
You do. You love a teaser.
I do.
Right.
Teaser.
Good teaser.
Okay. Laura, you got to get on the teaser.
Nobody likes
I have a bad tailbone. It's terrible. I do. Joseph broke it.
I think I know what some of you are going to say. Precision or flow? I'm more like a slower, precise exercise or flowing through them.
I like
Let's say either for me.
Okay.
say
I think
flow.
precise. Yeah, I
I
think
like
precise.
precise too more, but I do flows a
To
lot.
really emphasize whatever it is you're, trying to emphasize.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Last one. Express or a full class?
Full.
Laura, give
Yeah.
it a student.
I'd say a full class because if I'm committing the time to it, I'd rather do a full class.
What are your classes? Are they an hour?
50 minutes.
50.
50.
Oh, 50.
Beth, I'm sorry, Beth.
Oh,
Mhm.
and yours, Anne, too?
Well, if I teach, it's either 50 or 55, depending on which class I'm teaching. So we don't really have an express.
Yeah.
So
It's hard to get it. It's hard. I have it both ways, express, and I try not to do express with Pilates though, but mine are 45 minutes. If I'm ever asked to teach a 60-minute, I'm like, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to be filled? We'll be doing some more stretches. All right. Well, you guys were fantastic. So the theme of my podcast has always been staying happy, healthy, and fit. So again, without overthinking it, in your life generally, how do you stay happy, healthy, and fit? And it doesn't have to be all three. I've had people say sitting out by a lake, Beth, drinking coffee, taking in the view.
For me, I just think it's moving. I mean, that's how I always stay. It makes me happy. It's been great fitness for me, and I just feel much healthier when I'm moving than that can just be walking. I mean, as I've gotten older, that is walking, that is doing Pilates. And that's what I do.
Yeah, because once we stop moving, we're done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, what she said perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah. Movement in general. And then Laura, I'm sure the same.
Yeah, and I think with me a lot of because I'm around 13-year-olds a lot. I like the mind, the calm mind and
Yeah.
body connection. I love it.
Okay. That's, I thought you were going to say going back to work, Laura, is the way to happy, happy.
It's always a double-edged sword, Marianne.
All right, you guys. Well, cheers. Thank you so much for
Cheers.
doing
Thank
this, you
you.
guys. I will. Oh, wait, take your sip first. I will link the ladies, Beth and Anne Marie's social sites, if that's okay with the ladies. Probably should have
Great.
asked them off
So nice to
camera.
meet you both.
Yeah, you
Same
too.
here. So
So
nice to
fun.
meet you.
All right, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you again soon.
Love
Bye,
you.
Marianne. Thank
Guys,
you.